bills, Exhibit 54.
But you have all that information in your...
Okay.
in your
Sir, these bills, Exhibit 54, that you told us you're responsible for paying, you're telling us now that your wife writes the checks and pays them, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
And you don't know out of what source?
Objection. I mean, she's saying that one is inconsistent with the other, and she's going over the same thing again. It seems to me, Your Honor, that what's happening over here is she's trying to finally get him to say something.
Now you're commenting. I just want to know what you're citing as your objection.
My objection is she hasn't laid the foundation.
All right.
Go ahead, sir. You can answer
I don't
my
know the
question.
question.
The question is, you've given us an exhibit that you told us that totaled $4,791, Exhibit 54, that you produced for this court to say that these are the bills that you are responsible for, correct? Yes?
Yes, that's what I did.
And if we went through this joint checking account that you and your wife had, we in fact would find many of these bills being paid by your wife through the joint checking account. Do you disagree with that?
Probably, yes. I don't disagree with that. That you would find many of those bills paid from the joint checking account. I don't disagree with that at all.
And you tell us that the restitution that you are responsible for paying to this court, though, your wife has never paid, correct?
No.
And we had a conversation or questions relating to that last time we were in court. And in fact, there is very little paper trail of you paying that restitution. Is that correct?
I don't understand that question when you say very little paper trail.
I think we went through it last time, sir, and I don't want to belabor it, but there are no checks or money orders coming from your bank accounts that could be traced to the payment of your restitution, or very few at least.
Objection. If we went through it last time, then why are we going through it again? She's already indicated that we've done this once before.
And that was a...
Hang on, what's your response?
The response is because he's talking about bills that he pays, and his testimony here, I think I'm entitled to inquire. He gives us a set of bills that he says he's responsible for, and yet his wife is paying for it. And he wants to argue that the restitution that he's responsible for, his wife has nothing to do with, we can't use her money, and the arguments that he makes are inconsistent with the way they handle their finances.
All right, so that would be an argument you would make, wouldn't it?
But I need to have the factual support to make that argument.
Right, so your question is, go ahead, ask your question again.
Did your wife ever make any restitution payments for you in her capacity of writing checks?
No.
I may approach the witness, Your Honor. I'm handing you people's proposed Exhibit 50. I'm going to ask you to look at that. You had an opportunity to look at that, sir?
Yes.
And the first page of that exhibit, sir, is what?
guess it's cashier's check? No, it's a debit. I don't know what, the town says debit.
You see in the blackened area where it says checking, savings,
Oh,
withdrawal,
checking, savings, withdrawal, I got you.
the withdrawal slip,
Yes,
in the name of Carlita Kilpatrick,
yes.
and then it shows an account ending in 8730.
Yes.
Are you
Which,
sure?
after these proceedings, we really need to change. I mean,
Is that an account that you're familiar with?
Excuse me, Your Honor,
mm,
this has not been redacted.
Oh, well,
Go back to
bring
that.
it over.
Probably.
And I agree, it's, showing us right on its face.
I see that, Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Kilpatrick, you can turn that over. You give it back to, the lawyer to give it to Mrs. Ramos.
You can hold on to that.
So the record indicates I'm giving you the documents that have been marked for an application for number 50 back to the hospital.
Your Honor, before any of these, there is a protective order of the court, and I won't publish
This
this
is exactly the reason.
in any, I understand, Your Honor, and there's a lot of documents, and
Well, I
there
understand that,
are
but
best efforts, and Mr. Schwartz has had the documents as well.
Well, don't blame Mr. Schwartz.
You know,
See, it's your document, don't blame Mr. Schwartz.
it is our
Okay,
document.
the document to it. Perhaps Mr. Spada could have, I don't know if this gentleman could help you do something with this exhibit while we're waiting, I don't know, it's your call.
Well, she's redacting it.
I'm redacting from the original, Your Honor.
And then we need probably copies of that.
While we're doing that, Your Honor, could I proceed with some other questions, or it's up to the court? Do you know an individual by the name of Jim Carlisle, sir?
Yes.
And who is Jim Carlisle?
Jim owns the house that I live
And you've met Mr. Carlisle in the past?
in. Absolutely. Is this normal, Judge, for the, just to just say anybody's name at any time?
Mr. Kilpatrick, just answer the question.
It's amazing.
Mr. Kilpatrick, please don't make any comments, this is the courtroom. Mr. Kilpatrick?
Yes, sir.
Please don't make any comments, just answer the questions. If there's an objection, the lawyer will make it.
Now, you've told us in the past, sir, that, and you've told the judge, that your wife is the one who leased the property on Paloma Court, correct? La Paloma Court?
She leased the property on Chestnut Cove and La Paloma.
Chestnut Cove? Was that the first property you lived in, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And she leased that as well?
Yes.
And she leased that at a time when you were incarcerated, is that correct?
Yes.
And since this case, sir, has your wife then been solely responsible for finding housing since the time that you've moved from the mansion, the Manugian mansion, to the present time? Is it your testimony that your wife is the one that's been responsible for leasing and finding a home for your family?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for two separate
Two separate questions.
questions in there.